Welcome back to CrowdSourceCarrie. Today, we're putting campaign signs aside, and we are going to get to know Ben Davis, a man that is hoping to help shape the future of Huntington Beach, California. In this conversation, we are going to discuss why Ben is running for City Council in Huntington Beach. We are going to talk about what Ben thinks should be at the top of the agenda for City Council. And of course, we're going to hear what he would do differently if voters give him the chance to serve. We're going to get into the real issues around Huntington Beach, like the division with the City Council and the residents. Of course, we're going to talk about public safety and homelessness and the housing crisis, and of course, affordability and the many other issues that a lot of California cities are facing. So let's get into it.
Thank you for coming down to the beach.
Of course. I like to start my interviews with rapid fire, just for an icebreaker.
Yep.
So, do you like coffee or do you like tea?
Neither.
What? That's what Chris Cluey said.
I know. I saw that. I am. My poison is Diet Pepsi.
Oh, you're a Diet Pepsi in the morning?
Yeah. So all the time.
Is it like from your refrigerator or from 7-Eleven? It's got
the refrigerator. Can is the best. I've tried them all the different ways.
Yeah.
So I'm diabetic.
Okay.
So sugar-free soda.
Sure.
Never really gotten the taste of coffee. Unless you put a lot of chocolate and cream in it.
Right, all the good stuff.
Yeah, and then that, of course, affects my blood sugar.
Sure.
So and then you still need some caffeine.
Right.
So occasionally I need the caffeine. So Diet Pepsi there's not as much caffeine in a Diet Pepsi, so I end up drinking a lot more to equal the amount of
gotta
coffee.
do what you gotta do.
But of all the diet sodas, it's the best. So
I like Coke, straight up Coke.
Straight up Coke. Well, that's the classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I used to drink sugary sodas, Coke was always the best.
Yeah.
But
No, you can't.
I had to switch, and if you look at like pictures of me over the last 30 years,
Yeah.
you see like a progression of the different Diet Pepsi cans.
Really?
Because they just end up in a lot of pictures.
Oh, in your pictures.
Yeah. So
That's funny.
that's my poison. I'll probably ride and die Diet Pepsi until I'm gone.
Nice.
Until it kills me.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
I think I've always been more of a night person, but I have to get up in the morning because that's when the surf is best.
Oh, I was going to ask you if you like surfing or skateboarding.
Surfing more.
Okay.
I used to say this. Skateboarding's not a very fat-friendly sport. I'm kind of a chubby kid, so I just could never really figure out how to ollie that well.
Really?
And yeah.
I would imagine you could just scoot a little bit and your weight would push you.
Well, yeah. So just rolling is fine, but to be really good at skating, you got to do some tricks, and that includes ollieing, and I just can never figure it out.
Broken arms.
Yeah.
Broken femur.
Yeah, concrete is hard. So surfing's better. The first thing I ever did when it came to board sports was actually snowboarding.
Oh, yeah?
I grew up in Washington State.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And so
Nice.
I got into snowboarding, and I absolutely loved it. And then a buddy of mine said, hey, let's go to Costa Rica and learn how to surf. And at the time I was like, well, that'll be cool, but I don't think it'll be as good as snowboarding.
Yeah.
And then I tried surfing, and I was done. I was
Really?
locked in. Yeah.
And your first time surfing was in Costa Rica?
Yeah.
Wow, where'd you go?
The first place was called Jaco.
Okay,
and
yeah, I know
because it's
Jaco.
the first place. And then we did Tamarindo and Manuel Antonio.
Nice.
We actually went over to the east side, but there weren't any waves.
Yeah, east side is more Caribbean, no waves, right?
Yeah, and you have to get the right type of storm for it to kick up. So it was flat, but it was still cool to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were there for a month, and we just explored and tried to figure out how to surf, and it was a blast.
I did Costa Rica a few years ago with my daughter, and we got to the airport and they didn't have a car for us, so we ended up driving this total junker, and it was the best time ever.
Yes.
It's like you were risking your life just driving away from the airport.
Yeah. It's an exciting place, and I absolutely loved it. It's one of those moments where you really start to figure out who you are, because I was pretty young, and it was a point where I really got to figure out who I was and what was more important to me.
Sure.
So
nice.
Yeah, it was
fun times.
It really was.
Now you're fighting the government.
You can't fight City Hall, so become part of it.
Right. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay.
So here's another thing. I'm vegan.
Okay.
So I'm pretty pro all animals, because that's the core of my vegan. It's not because of diet, it's because of the well-being of living organisms. So cats are cool too, but I've always had dogs.
Tend to be a dog guy.
Yeah, I have a pug.
Sure.
Yeah, Artemis, she's a champion. So
So that leads up to my next question, which was going to be In-N-Out or TK. But so where do you get your best vegan burger?
Okay. There's a place called Nice Burger. There's a few of them around Southern California, and they're the best.
Really?
Yeah, in Orange County, there's a couple of them, and that's absolutely the best.
There are some great burger places for vegans.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, there's another one called Plant Power that I really love. And then sometimes you can find other ones pop up. There's in LA. There's a few other ones. So,
sure.
That's the burger place.
Nice.
So, no dissing TK Burger because they're a staple.
Yeah.
So.
How often do you surf?
Usually when I'm not campaigning, probably 2 or 3 days a week.
Nice.
But lately it's been once every 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just been, I just can't get the free time. So,
nice.
But usually a couple days a week at least, because it's where I find a moment of clearing my head and be able to just absorb the time that you're in, as opposed to everything that's around you and everything that's burdening you. And so it's just to be present.
Right.
And it's also a blast. I mean, it's not just a spiritual component to it or whatever, but it's also just riding a wave is fun. Have you ever tried it?
Yeah, I try. Keep trying.
Yeah.
I love the ocean. I love sailing. I love everything water.
And there's this point in the first Endless Summer movie where Bruce Brown's talking about the feeling you get when a wave pushes you, and he describes it pretty well. And that's exactly it. There's a feeling that I think is actually physiological that can't really be mimicked at doing a lot of other things, and that feeling is what makes it the best.
Yeah.
So once you get on that wave and you start cruising, and it really takes you to this just a sense of joy, another joy. So it's. Yeah.
And plus, surfing is one of the only sports where you absolutely cannot have any devices on you, pretty much.
You're right.
I'm sure people try it, but
I have seen back in the day when I think iPhone was trying to market their waterproof ability. I saw some people on the water, but I'm sure their phones got damaged. So, I mean, you can have a camera with you and stuff, but you can completely disconnect, which is really nice. I mean, you're on your own. And it's kind of weird at times because then I'm thinking, I need to send a text, but then I realized I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't care.
Sweet. That's right.
Let's go. So,
Is your wife a surfer?
No. She, we tried a long time ago, and I think the board hit her in the head.
Ugh,
and
the worst.
And she never really, I think that getting tumbled in the ocean really isn't very much fun to her either, which I can understand. So, but she's very patient, and she whenever we set up a trip to go somewhere, she's always trying to pick a spot that has a coastline.
Nice.
I'm like, no, let's go where you want to go. But a lot of times the coastline is where she wants to go anyway.
Well, she probably finds something to do when you're surfing, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
We went to Morocco last year. And
wow.
Yeah.
Morocco?
It was
That's
really
incredible.
Fun. It was spectacular. And I just went surfing. The surf wasn't very good, but I would just go out and paddle around a little bit, and she would just sit on the beach and hang out, enjoy her time reading a book or whatever. And at one point, at least I think 2 different places we went, somebody would come by with camel, and they
on the beach.
On the beach, yeah. You can just ride camels on the beach, and so she just got to hang out with the camel, and she's like,
that in itself is an experience.
Yeah, it really was. So we went to this one kind of remote place, which I could go on the story of that. Was kind of wild about that, but she just ended up kind of sitting down and reading her book and stuff, and the kid came by with the camel, and he just asked her if she wanted to ride, and she said, well, I can't leave my stuff. And so the kid just had the camel sit down next to her, and she would just pet the camel while I'd sit next to her reading. It was so rad.
Oh my God.
I thought she was being harassed by somebody because she's by herself in a country that, blonde woman in a country that we don't really know the culture, whether this is appropriate or not, or whatever. And just in a place we had no clue about. So the risks I didn't know. And so I'm still watching from the water, and I see this person
sitting on the beach with a camel.
Yeah. It was really rad. And so then I kind of freak out. I'm like, I gotta go check on her. So I paddle in and ran up to her, and she's like, no, it's fine. I'm just petting the camel.
Oh my gosh. Are they rough or are they soft?
They're a little rough, but that's fine. They're really cool animals.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
What an experience.
Yeah. I could go on for hours about the world that I've got to explore with my wife, but that's a whole nother video.
That's cool.
So,
with your amazing life, what has made you decide that you want to run for city council?
So I've always had an inclination for giving back to public service. And there's always been this idea that that in some way I want to make the world better for as many people as I can, for as long as I can. And the best way that I saw that happening as of right now is to get into a place where I can help make decisions for a group of people, as opposed to the legal world is great. I get to help a few people at a time, one or two people as a client or whatever. And then some of the impact litigation cases do help people on a grander scale. But but the larger scale is, this is an opportunity to try to use what I consider strong moral qualities and a good sense of empathy and I think a decent level of intelligence and some math skills, and try to combine all of those in an environment where it really could do a lot of good for more people than just a small subset. So.
For your city council, there's no districts, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And how long can people be in city council in the Huntington?
4 years.
Okay. And then they can renew, or they're done?
Yeah, it's a 2-year term or 2-term maximum. So so yeah, if you go in for 4 years and then you can run again, get elected, you can do another 4 years. But right now there's 4 seats up for election, 7 seats total, 4 seats up for election. So I'm shooting for one of those 4 seats.
Would you consider yourself an activist?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's probably not, my history doesn't show really deep in some of the heavier moments. I've been on some marches with National Lawyers Guild, but I was in that role as an observer, as opposed to somebody that was, but I've been on protest marches. My wife and I went to one in LA specific to like Planned Parenthood and access to women's rights, women's autonomy. And then, so I've always had that in me some way or another. I probably haven't always been on the forefront, but there's always been that component of do something better for the world, and do what's right for people and for against the limited few people that are only focused on money and power. And my goal is to try to make the world just a better place for the people in the most need and the people that are just the regular folks, as opposed to the billionaires and those with all the resources.
I think that it's important to remember too, though, that activism doesn't necessarily have a face on it. A lot of people are writing letters, calling senators, trying to change the law as attorneys, like behind the scenes. Like, there's just so many levels of activism, especially right now.
Yeah, that you're actually absolutely correct. Yeah, that you don't necessarily have to be out in the streets fighting the powers or confronting ICE or whatever it is. There's just getting your voice out there, being able to sign some postcards to reach out for a particular message. There was here in Huntington Beach, there was a measure last year that pertained to the library, and some of the stuff that the city council was trying to do to restrict access to the library, privatize the library, and the city was full of activists, even the people that weren't able to leave their homes, but they were still able to write some postcards or make some phone calls, whatever they could do to reach out to the community to say, hey, did you know what's going on with the library? And this is, like I was saying, this is an icon of the city. This is a part of the foundation of the city. And to take that away from the people or turn it into a commercial environment or restrict access to some of the books, that hurts. That really degrades the quality of the city. So there are a lot of activists there.
So right now we're at the Huntington Beach Central Library, correct? Can you give us a little backstory on how the whole book thing started and what was going on with the library? Because I think people know the general, that they were trying to privatize and they're trying to ban certain books, but how did that all start? And when did it start?
So I think it started, I wanted to clarify that one of the other candidates, Erin Spivey, she was actually working for the library when this started. She's Erin, the librarian. I believe it started somewhere in 2022 or maybe 2023, that there was the city council wanted to restrict access. I believe it was Moms Demand Liberty or whatever that group
Moms
is.
for Liberty.
Moms for Liberty kind of came in and helped instigate a push to go after specific books that were classified as like puberty books or teen books, anything that had anything to do with LGBTQ issues. That a lot of the claims were that there was porn in the library,
Right.
And so there was this push to take those books out of the library, and some of it had to do with people in the city, and then it had to do with, I think, a push from outside the city as well.
Interesting.
And so in that process, they started to try to ban these books or take them off the shelves. And then that created a conflict in its own right. But then somewhere along the way, they also said, you know what we need? We need to privatize the library because it's not financially viable. I'm not exactly sure why they did, but for whatever reason, they try to privatize it. And so these two issues, censorship and privatization or commercialization of the library, really got the city activated. And I'm proud of the people of the city to really stand up for this, because you can't take this away. This
place is incredible. I've never been here before.
Yeah.
First of all, it's huge.
Yeah.
And it's not just a library. There's a computer center. There's meeting rooms. There's study areas. It's like a waterfall in there.
Waterfall, yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Anybody that has any issues with the library, they degrade the library, they have some concerns about the library, they should really come here and see it and feel the vibe that's generated from here, from all ages. And it's not just the seniors that are here,
but all ages.
All ages, and they seem so engaged in all the things that are available here. And then I don't want to neglect the staff either, because when you actually get to interact with the staff and see how dedicated they are to just providing resources to everybody so they can read and they can have education, and that's the part where when somebody starts to degrade librarians, it's pretty hurtful, because I know how dedicated they are. I spent a little time in law school doing an internship at the LA County Law Library, and so I got to see I got to work right next to librarians, and how intense they were on just doing what's right for the books and doing what's right for access to that knowledge.
Right.
And it was definitely not something that they were doing because they were trying to manipulate the system or take advantage of something. They were doing it because there was a love of knowledge.
It's so incredible. Like, I've never until this moment right now realized like how important librarians are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how they have to be like nonpartisan, and they have to represent everybody and bring knowledge to people and keep knowledge. And right now we have AI cutting books up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's such an incredible, very important job.
It really is. And the intelligence that they have to exude, the effort that they have to put in to actually review books, to make sure that they're presenting a message that's appropriate and it's age appropriate, which is another thing that the librarians here do a really good job of. So it's a lot of work.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single table in there is busy. Every chair is full, pretty much every chair. So whatever they're doing it right here.
Yeah, I every time I come here, this is one of the places where I just love the vibe.
Yeah.
It just feels right.
When you become the city council person, one of the city council people, you have to represent everybody in the city. So give us an example of what this current city council has done right. And then on the flip, give us an example of something that you think that they haven't done right.
I do appreciate Casey McKeon, the current mayor. He'll take a moment to introduce a business.
Sure.
And I really appreciate that, because that's something where you're just stepping out and saying, hey, check out this business. They're doing a lot of good things.
Right.
And so I do appreciate that. It's something that our city needs. We need to promote all those small businesses that are part of what makes our community great.
Sure.
As far as what they've done poorly, specifically when it comes to connecting with the community, one of the things that always stands out to me is what appears to be ignoring a lot of the people that are speaking up at city council, or that recently there was an issue that had to do with providing a permit an alcohol permit to one of the local businesses.
Oh, I know about this. Close to
yeah.
the school.
Yeah, it was close to the school. There was concern about some of the negative business actions that this business could attract and stuff. And everybody at the city council meeting that night that spoke during public comments, everybody said, "Don't do this. This is a bad idea. You got to think about this." And they still just said, "No, we don't care. We're going to do it." And that's just, it's upsetting that it didn't seem like that they took that into consideration.
Yeah.
So, and maybe there was.
And that business already served beer, right?
They did, yeah.
But they just wanted a full liquor license, and it was generally close to a school.
Yeah, it was within 800 feet of an elementary school. I think there's a lot more to the dynamics of the issue, but the part that was upsetting to me was the lack of acknowledgement of the people that were expressing their concerns, and some people that actually had in that neighborhood had some severe pain that they were expressing, and it seemed like it didn't matter.
Right.
So that was that ignoring the people can be pretty disappointing.
Yeah, people need to feel heard and included.
Yeah.
Right.
Completely agree.
Is this the library that they were going to put the mega sign up?
Yeah.
Did they?
No, not that I know of. I haven't seen it. I don't exactly remember where they were going to try to put it. I think maybe up the top floor, the main floor.
Sure.
I have not seen it. I don't think it ever went through. I think it created too much controversy, which rightfully so, because it was a horrible idea.
Right.
It's similar to the idea of putting a Trump statue in Patriot Park, which is a park specific to fallen war heroes and 9/11 first responders that died in that event, and they wanted to put a Trump statue there, and it's just heartbreaking. I mean, it's really frustrating and infuriating, but it's also just heartbreaking that would be considered something that would be okay.
Yeah.
So those are just a couple of things that's come up.
When you received one of the positions for city council, what would you do differently?
The first thing I would do is look at all the lawsuits that the city's engaged in or potentially could engage in and verify whether they're legitimate. And there's definitely some that I know aren't legitimate, they're wasting the city money. And because of the background in law, I feel like it would be a really good, I would fit that situation pretty well, because I could actually look at it from the legal mindset and shut down the stuff that's costing the city a lot of money and stuff that's not doing the city any good. I mean, there's the housing issue, voting rights, access, library appeal that they're still dealing with. That's what I think would be the first thing. And then, I mean, there's so many issues, but one of the things that's really paramount to the survival of our city is the reputation, because it does have that reputation of not a safe place to be.
Yeah.
And it sounds kind of what I want to say, just like just anecdotal, and I mean, it is anecdotal, but the idea that people say that they're not going to come to Huntington Beach because it's not a safe place to be. They don't want to bring their family here. And I've actually had that conversation with people, which seemed kind of wild to me, because you always hear politicians talk about the person that they talked to that told them this story. And I actually had that conversation with somebody that said they're not going to come to Huntington Beach because it doesn't feel safe. And that's heartbreaking as well. That's disappointing that's the reputation the city has, because, I mean, granted, white man with a lot of privilege, so I don't really feel threatened at all. Mm-hmm. But this city is spectacular, and there's so many good things to do here, and there are a lot of good people here. So you can come to this city and have a great time without ever having to feel like you're threatened.
Right.
But when that image gets pushed around the world, and it really has gone around the world.
It has gone around the world.
Then you're going to miss out on things. I mean, there's credible argument that image cost the city the U.S. Olympics for the surf contest. I do want to say that lowers is a better wave to surf.
That's trestles, right?
Trestles, yeah. I can't discount that. If I was
but I mean, trestles, there's nothing nearby.
No infrastructure.
There's no hotels, there's no eateries.
Yeah, if you look at what...
I mean, we have the World Surf competition here, right?
Yeah, the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Yeah. The World Surf League supports it. When you look at the infrastructure that's available in Huntington Beach, it really can't be beat for something like that because it does have all the hotels, it has all the restaurants, it's got the infrastructure. And as far as just a platform to watch the event, it's beach breaks, not always the best place to have a contest, but as far as being able to witness the contest from the pier or in stands or whatever it is, you have a wide open field that makes it a lot easier to watch it. Lowers is a really cool place, but as far as accessibility,
don't you have to like hike in there?
Yeah. A lot of people now take e-bikes because it's a lot easier, but it is half a mile from the nearest parking lot.
What a bummer that people won't be able to watch that. I mean, they will, but if they got to put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, and if you think about, because one of the areas that I deal with in law are people with disabilities, and when I think about people with disabilities, how inaccessible that really is.
Right.
So, there is a large contingent of people with disabilities that actually surf.
Right.
And they should have that same access.
Right.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people with, I think they call it, I can't remember the term for it, but with disability surf, and they're way better than I could ever be. So to think that like they should be neglected or just ignored, that's pretty disappointing.
Are they going to have surfing in the Paralympics?
That I don't know. It would make sense that they would do it because they're even Huntington Beach. I can say that one of the things Huntington Beach did, and this is, I think, was a big promotion of one of the previous council members. They promoted and put in mats.
Right, the blue mat.
Yeah, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, so. They are incredible because even like a person in a wheelchair, a senior citizen, like so many people can use it.
Yeah, it's really cool that they provided that access. For sure.
Speaking of, I'm all over the place right now.
No, it's fine.
Tell me about the pride flag and that coming down in the city. And if you think that's a big deal for the city of Huntington Beach, I don't know if there's an LGBTQ plus population over here. How does what does that
Pride
look like
at the Pier
over
is
here?
A great organization.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a really cool organization. It's another one of those things where it really felt like it was just a culture war issue. It was a hot button issue, so they could make this something that they could get a small component of their group to rally behind them to say we need to get rid of the flag. I think ultimately the populace did vote on it when it comes to what should be allowed on the polls in the city. So that does restrict what should be allowed. I don't have any problem with it, and I would hope that other groups would get the opportunity to fly. I mean, other than a couple of groups that have some pretty offensive flags, but for the most part, other groups have that opportunity as well because it's a good way for your city to show inclusion.
Right.
And that's what I promote. I mean, everybody should get an opportunity to be heard. Everybody should get to be seen if they want to be seen.
Yeah.
If they've been a group that's been disparaged or they've been discriminated against, then there should be an opportunity for them to have their voice kind of stand out a little bit more because they've been pushed down for so long that adding a little bit more for that group, more than maybe some other groups might generally get. I don't see a problem with that because those groups that don't need it as much, it's because they've had it their whole, I mean, specifically I'm talking like white men. Because we've been the ones that have been in power for so long. I mean, it pains me so much when I think about women's suffrage and how long it took for women to get the right to vote. And that's just one of the many groups that's been knocked down over the years. And so giving people that opportunity that ultimately have had less access, then help them catch up to the rest of us. The term generally used is equity.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of that because we should all be on a fair playing field, and it's going to take a little while for some of those people that just haven't had the resources to get to that same place that some of the rest of us have been able to.
The reason why I ask about the LGBTQ plus community is because I wonder if they feel completely excluded over here right now. in the city,
Yeah.
the city council.
Yeah, I would absolutely believe that they do feel excluded. I mean, it's hard for me to say entirely, but I would venture to guess that they do feel excluded because the city has tried to exclude them. I mean, whether you're talking about the books in the library, you're talking about the flag.
True.
I'm sure that they get harassed a lot when Pride at the Piers at the pier rallying on something. I'm sure they get harassed there as well. So no doubt in my mind that they feel like their voice isn't being heard and that they're getting pushed back.
Right. Do you think that they feel safe here? I know that you're speculating because you're not part of that community, but I wonder because even me coming here today, I was a little bit scared.
Yeah,
but I also felt like, well, I'm not going by the pier, so I'm good.
Yeah.
And whatever. I know that I'm putting everybody in a box right now. But.
Yeah, no, I understand. I would think that there's probably moments that your concern for your safety comes up because it's a fair concern. There's in a world where a lot of dangerous things happen in random moments.
Yeah.
Of course, a place that's already has the reputation of being aggressive towards specific groups. I would say absolutely. I would be a little concerned about it. So
this is a little off topic, but I was in Philadelphia in June, and I was walking down the street by the convention center, and I saw this guy that I know from the internet. I don't know him, but his face looked familiar.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you Rich from Leaving MAGA? Do you know what Leaving MAGA is?
No, I don't. No.
So leavingmaga.org is an organization of people leaving MAGA.
Okay.
And part of their mission, Rich was very deep into MAGA, but part of the mission is they're putting billboards around the country.
Oh,
and they're starting to show up.
I've seen the billboards, yes.
And so I said, are you Rich from Leaving MAGA? And he said, yeah, I am. And I said, oh my gosh, can I take a picture with you? And whatever. And I said, can you put a billboard at Huntington Beach? And he goes, it's so funny you say that. They get so many requests. And I'm like, this is a guy that lives in Florida.
Yeah.
And I saw him in Philadelphia, and it's just so wild. And then I actually got a message from him recently, and he goes, I just want you to know that we're still getting this request.
Wow.
So somebody around here is...
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me because...
But it makes me sad because it is such an incredible, beautiful area. And I hate that maybe worldwide, maybe nationwide, people feel unsafe here.
Yeah, that's why bringing that up is one of the things that's critical from the get-go is to rebuild that reputation. I know it's not going to happen right away.
Yeah.
I think with the Surf City 4, I think we've got a good group that can help expedite that because of the voices that are included in that group.
Sure.
And how intelligent and powerful the women in the Surf City 4 are.
Sure.
I think we can expedite it, but it's going to take a little while for people to catch on that, hey, Huntington Beach isn't quite that extreme place that gets played out in the media. So
do you think that the people that the people in Huntington Beach that are the loudest, do you think they're actually from Huntington Beach, or do you think they come from other areas?
There's credible evidence that there are people that come here from other areas. That there's no doubt about it. There's a few that are locals that make their voice heard. But there's some that come from out of town as well, and probably partially because they feel welcome.
Right.
Which is upsetting, but was it last year there was a moment where some white supremacists actually marched down the middle of Main Street, and it was pretty clear that I think most of them were from out of the city. There might have been a few people that were from the city, but I think it was made clear in some way or another that they were just agitators that were trying to get. It was a hot button moment. I think it was right after Charlie Kirk was killed. And so it was this prime moment for them to kind of step up and push an issue for whatever reason.
Sure.
But I'm also, you get the sense that they thought they could get away without it without too much pushback. So
was there any pushback?
Social media, I think did. I don't know if there was any at the time it happened because it was kind of out of nowhere, I think, for the most part. I think on social media, the message got out really quickly. And ultimately, the city council had to address it because there was enough of a voice that said, hey, look what's happening in our city. And so they did. I don't agree with the way they addressed it, but they did at least have to acknowledge it. So, and there's more details that go with that too.
Yeah. So, as far as when you're out and about and you're campaigning, what are you hearing from people? What do they want from the city council? What are they saying when they can speak to somebody just freely and openly that's listening?
Yeah, from the interactions that I've had, and of course this is, once again, it's all anecdotal, but from the interactions I've had, people want some normalcy. They don't like the crazy. They just want a city council that does what you would hope a city council does. Fill the potholes, the classic fill in the potholes, making sure that everything's as safe as possible, that there isn't controversy, that the city isn't known as an abrasive and culture war ridden place. That I think that's the general message, that they just want something that functions the way we all know a city should. And I think that's what the Surf City 4 brings to the part of our message, is that we're going to try to make it boring again, try to have the city. I want everybody to be engaged in their local government, because that's how people are held accountable, and that's how voices get heard. So the more people that are involved, the higher chance that you're actually going to get a better representation of what works for more people.
Right.
But it also would be nice to not have to watch city council meetings every 2 weeks, because you're concerned that they're going to do something that's really upsetting and actually is detrimental to the city. So having a boring city council once in a while where they're just making sure that that the things that need to be fixed in the city,
potholes are filled.
Yeah.
How come you didn't do Fifth Street?
Yeah.
We've been waiting.
Yeah. And hopefully somebody's responding to that. So you want more lights down the lights change, bulb change in the street lights down your neighborhood.
Yeah.
All that kind of little stuff that seems to get neglected, and the stuff that's the ones that when you points on some of the conservative social media, those are the things that get pushed more often than the things that the city really needs.
Right. What would happen if all four of you don't get into city council? How is everybody going to get along?
So, I mean, anywhere from 1 to 3. If it was just one person, I would feel really bad for that person, because they would probably just be the one person that would get picked on all the time.
Sure.
Never make any ground. Even up to 3, I'm sure that they would not make a whole lot of ground at all. The nice thing is that the people that are part of the Surf City 4 actually have a lot of potential to at least try to engage with the other side and try to find some common ground. Even if they know that it's a futile cause, I think all of us would take that time and take that effort to at least try, at least to make some positive change, get the subset of the population their voice heard. It would be a rough ride. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah. It sounds like right now it's completely off balance.
It is. I mean,
it's just leaning towards one side.
It's all one side, and it's been that way for the last 2 years. There are some disagreements in the current city council, some factions that have kind of grown out of it, but generally the agenda has always been the same agenda, and so you're not getting a diverse point of view, and you're not getting some of the things that a good subset of the population think are important. They're not even heard on those issues.
Right.
So, and one of the things that also is part of the limitation of the way the city council is structured is that it tends to be people that have more money. And so you're only getting that group of people. But we have a city where 50% of the population are renters, and they're never going to get heard because there aren't people representing them on the city council. Do
you think that's why the city council is pushing back so hard on building housing? Because they don't want more renters, or what's the story behind that?
Yeah, housing. That's
because I followed the housing situation over here for a long time.
Yeah.
And I know that people love to blame Gavin Newsom for homelessness and all the problems in California, but the housing mandates go all the way back to the 70s, where the state government basically said each community needs to keep up with housing because we're growing. And then this is one of the only city that's pushing back?
No, I mean, the other cities have. I think
But you
Santa
guys literally have pushed back so much that nothing's happened, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the worst part about it. It's gone all the way to one of the lawsuits went all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court declined to review it. So the lower court's ruling stood, which ultimately said the city is in violation of the housing mandate. So they have to follow the rules. And that's ongoing still costing the city lots of money until that gets resolved. I'm sure that a component of it is they don't want their city to change. It's that you got what you want. It's perfect the way it is. If you bring in more people, it's going to change the culture. It's going to change the environment. I understand that concern. I know that more houses get built, the surf lineup is going to get more crowded, which means
Sure.
less waves for me.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But on the flip side, I'm a transplant. I came from Washington State, and the city was really welcoming to me when I got here. And people shared the waves with me. And I don't want to take that away from other people as well.
Of course.
And we also just need it. If you want to actually make it affordable make living here affordable, especially for your workforce, for your nurses,
Sure.
the people that work here, the teachers, to be able to make that affordable, there needs to be more housing. Now, you get into the housing issue, it's really complicated, but
Sure.
ultimately, as of right now, the housing mandate at least has to get approved, and then trying to find a solution to put in all that housing that's part of the mandate.
Right.
That can be something that gets sorted out, but at least the mandate, the fighting the mandate that ultimately was a loss that cost the city millions of dollars, that should have been approved a long time. The lawsuit should have been given up a long time ago. And part of that, somebody would say the reason why they were fighting it was because the city should get to make their own decisions. It's the same argument that comes up in every time the housing mandate is pushed back on, is the city should get to make their own decisions. But like you said, this is something that was put through decades ago because the similar types of issues were coming up. So it makes sense why you would have something like that as an attempt to try to find a solution for the cost of housing.
Yeah.
People need places to live. And then you get into the homelessness issue, which is a whole nother issue.
Right.
So yeah, the housing challenge, why the city pushed back on it, part of it's hubris. There was an idea that because Huntington Beach is a charter city, it shouldn't have to follow any of the rules that
Right.
a lot of the other cities have to do.
Right.
But then part of it's just wanting to protect what they have. And I don't fault people for wanting to have what they're used to, but I also know that, like I said, it's you want to be able to share with other people.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to share. So,
I think what's interesting about it is people want things to be more affordable, and they want things the way they want, but I don't know that that's being good to your direct neighbor who could barely afford their rent. And additionally, how is that being a good neighbor to the surrounding cities that are absorbing all of the people that need housing because you're not holding up your end of the bargain according to the state law? And
Yeah.
also the money that taxpayers are putting towards these lawsuits. Like, do you
Yeah.
guys run into deficit? Like,
Yeah, so there is this last budget, the city was able to manipulate it well enough to show that they were broke even. But projected going forward, the city is expected to run a deficit, and I think I'm not sure if it's next year, it's going to be 16 million, but it's somewhere in this course of the next few years, there's going to be $16 million budget deficit. And
that's because, do you think part of that is the lawsuits?
absolutely, no doubt in my mind, it has partially to do with
And
the
what
lawsuits.
else? Or just that?
No, I mean, some of it's probably not stuff that is entirely the city's control, because a lot of cities are dealing with budget deficits.
Right.
But there are a lot of things the city could have done to try to mitigate that, whether it's not ruining the reputation so you can bring in more revenue, the housing all the lawsuits, the library lawsuit, the voting rights access, the trying to out LGBTQ. Again, you can get into that issue. That's another thing that they were trying to force educators to out LGBTQ kids or transgender kids. So all of those things, all those lawsuits that have been millions of dollars, the air show settlement. I don't know if you know it. We haven't even
Oh, I
talked
don't
about
even know that.
We haven't even talked about
Oh my
that.
goodness.
Yeah, so the air show settlement, I classified as an unconscionable contract, that a lot of the revenue that could come to the city is actually going to the promotions company that was part of the lawsuit against the city. So there's money that could have been done there. And then because of the city fighting the housing mandate, then ultimately the state, who provides grants for cities to help with all kinds of different things, the state basically said, you don't get any grants, don't even bother applying for them. And then not having the staff to help support those grant applications, because
Sure.
you have people in place because there's a shortage of staff in the city, which is really difficult, because then the services are cut back on. So there was a lot of things that could have been done over the years to at least mitigate the potential for there ever running a deficit. And it definitely it's one of those things where you speculate on what the end numbers would be,
Yeah.
but it could be a lot better than it is because of the choices the current city council has made.
Sure. What is your thought on Huntington Beach schools and kids and all of that stuff?
So
is this a concern over here? Do people feel like the schools are doing well? Is the enrollment too low, too high? I don't know much about your schools over here.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think generally the schools are relatively good, but I don't have a deep understanding, because I don't have any kids, so it's hard
Sure.
for me to. I think that there's overall the school system is a pretty good system. There have been some issues, especially when it comes to talking about that housing issue. One of the things that's happening to the city is that the younger generations either can't move here, or they're moving out of their parents' houses and never coming back. So you're showing that declining school population. So then ultimately that's led over the years for some of the smaller elementary schools having to get shut down so they can consolidate. So that isn't a clear issue when it comes to the school system, is the lack of students to be able to go to them. And then that ultimately leads to the school resources getting cut back and the schools themselves getting closed. I think the schools have a pretty good reputation as far as providing quality education.
Mm-hmm.
I think the staff generally, as far as I know, are pretty high quality staff.
Sure.
And there's gaps here and there, but
of course,
but as far as I know, I'm a little out of touch on that, just because I don't get
But
involved.
people, when you're campaigning, constituents aren't raising concerns about schools so much.
I have not heard that. No.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of it just has to do with the population. A good chunk of the active voter population don't have kids in the city right now. So
Are they retired, or their kids have moved away?
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 40% of the city's population is over 60.
Interesting.
And somewhere around there.
Well, that's really interesting that they wouldn't want to invest in the future of the city by having younger families here and kids and the schools open.
It's really short-sighted.
Because in the long run, what is Huntington Beach going to look like in 25 years?
Yeah, that's
when that same group of people is in their 80s.
Yeah, it's a real serious concern that the vibe of the city, the sustainability of the city is at huge risk if there isn't some affordability that makes it possible for those young families,
sure,
and for the workforce to be able to actually live here and give back to the community, and then help that sustain itself over the years, because then they can continue on to provide it. Get back into the housing issue. It's a complicated mess, but having some resources so those younger generations can provide that longevity, it's a real serious concern.
Right.
I hope that we can get in to start addressing that, so the families can come and we can have the kids be able to go to the schools and use the resources and sustain the city for a really long time. Otherwise, you're just it's gonna be a real limited subset of the demographics that are gonna actually be living here.
Do you guys have a decent amount of senior living here?
I think that there's a pretty
assisted living in Huntington Beach. I know Seal Beach has Leisure World, and I think Garden Grove has a few places.
There are some senior apartments. There's several, I think a few 55 and over communities. There is assisting living facilities. Now, as far as there's enough to accommodate the population. I don't know. One of the things that I do want to say that was really good for the city was over the course of the last couple of years, they actually did put in senior apartments for low-income seniors. It was like a 40 unit building that I really appreciate that's available. And there's some controversy that had to do with that, but we won't get into that right now. But
I'm laughing because I'm like, of course they're taking care of that generation.
Yeah. So it's really cool that that's available in the city. Having worked in homelessness, removing barriers to housing, homelessness advocacy, both in volunteer work and also as part of the legal work that I do, I get to see a good chunk of the challenges that are out there and have a decent understanding of the barriers that exist and where there's a lot of services that are lacking. And so every once in a while, when there's these little wins of an actual building that appears to be doing what's right for a group of people that are often neglected and one of the populations that's increasing when it comes to the homeless population, your elderly, your disabled, the elderly disabled, they're one of the subsets of the population that is really adding to the homeless population. So to actually have something there that's for people.
Do you know, I think about that all the time, is that when we think of homeless people, often we think of the person sleeping on the sidewalk. However, there are a lot of senior citizens that are homeless living in their cars. Or living with their kids, sleeping on the couch, whatever it is. Hopping around to different places, because I personally helped a woman in Seal Beach who had Alzheimer's.
Oh, wow.
And they did everything right in life. They owned a home. They didn't have any debt, but they didn't have enough money to actually take care of her.
Yeah.
And I actually called the county of Orange and I was like, how can you help these people? And I can't remember the name of the supervisor, but he said there's an entire generation that is suffering right now because they can't afford to die with dignity. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think is critical for people to understand is when it comes to the homelessness issue, the group of people that are actually classified as homeless is really large. It's not just the people that you see on the street, the ones with the substance use or the ones that have mental health issues. Those are the ones that we tend to see on the street, the ones that kind of like catch our attention. But you're right, there's tons of people living in the cars. There's the couch surfers, people that just can hop from motel to motel because that's the only thing that's available for the short term or whatever. So those people have to be included in the equation. And when you think about what people are dealing with, and one of the things I like to try to explain to people is that most of us aren't really immune to it. I mean, there's obviously some people that are extremely wealthy and a lot of resources, but most of us aren't necessarily immune to it because there are circumstances in life that can happen that can put you there. When I was one of the law firms that I worked for, I talked to a gentleman that he had a net worth of a couple $1 million, but because of health issues, eventually all of his money got taken away. And then he ended up on the street because he just couldn't, there wasn't enough there to sustain him. And there was another person that this is the one that hit close to me, was a gentleman that he was on the street. He lost his place to live. When his wife had died, he kind of didn't have a lot of purpose anymore. So he just stopped doing
depressed.
Things. And when he was telling me this, I saw myself and I was thinking, this could happen to me. I mean, I would probably go through the same thing. I would absolutely go through the same thing. I would just be like, what's the purpose anymore? So it's just.
Yeah, I really believe that it's not that far-fetched to think that could happen to anybody here, because I know for me in my early 30s, I was homeless, actually. I didn't have a substance issue or alcoholism. I had a legal issue that cost me a fortune. And because I had a good job and I made good money, I didn't qualify for any sort of help.
Which is really wild. I met somebody actually recently in the Compton area, that a couple they were living in their car, and yet every day they were fortunate enough that one of the couple lived close enough to the train line that they could at least take the train every day to work. And they were working a full-time job and they were still trying to be an active member of society, but they that job didn't pay them enough to
Yeah.
really afford a place to live. They lost their original apartment during the fires, said they had no other place to go. They ended up living in their car, and then it just kind of
Yeah.
snowballed from there. So, but
And then
they kept working, which is incredible.
I know, but you know, like when you're in that kind of situation, you're getting high interest. You got an eviction now. If the system isn't designed to really help you, and if you have a job still, well, then you don't qualify. It's like,
Yeah.
but we still need safety nets for people.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah. Social services. I know that that term gets thrown around a lot. That was socialism or whatever it is. But we obviously see social services throughout our community that actually support even people that might be upset about socialism, but they still are taking advantage of those social services.
Right.
And we need those social services, whether it's your Social Security to be able to help people pay for things as they get older, whether it's your Medicare for older people. And those burdens don't just happen to the older people too. I mean,
No.
you also have your income challenges when you're younger. Then you can also have medical issues. So to expect that people just have to, stupid phrase, pull themselves up by the bootstraps. It's not.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. So having that safety net in place, have some accountability, have a system that's probably some oversight that you would want to be available, but also have it available for people that just get caught up in bad situations.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you're always going to have this small subset of people that are going to take
But
advantage.
very small.
It's a small subset, and one of the things that I always think about is that subset is in every demographic, because whether you have your extremely wealthy people that are taking advantage of a tax system so they can have a better setup, or you can have your middle class person that might find some other way to take advantage of. One thing I always think about is registering your car in another state, even though you're living in California. That's kind of
people do that.
Yeah, that's kind of taking advantage of the system. So and I'm not judging people based on like trying to find ways to make things more affordable or whatever.
Yeah.
But this idea that only the poor people are the ones that are taking advantage of like a social service or something like that. I mean, in some ways, even corporations get socialism, and when it comes to like corporate kickbacks or funding from the government to try to help them keep their business, even though they don't really need it to run business because they're still making a lot of profit. So, anyway.
Yeah, I know. What else do you think are the biggest concerns of Huntington right now?
So
housing.
Yeah. Infrastructure is a major concern.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
So it's just the basics of, like we're talking about, the potholes, the street lights. I've had multiple conversations with people just about street lights, whether it's weeds on their sidewalk, the restructuring of a street where you might put in a roundabout as opposed to a regular intersection, or being able to even have a stoplight at your intersection because it's a really dangerous intersection.
Right.
So all those types of things that are just basic city functions that we can all, like, the whole reason we have government is to have this community that can have some function for all the little pieces that we need to be able to get around and support our kids. So yeah, it's just the sewers, the stoplights, the intersections, there's the drainage systems. There's one part in the city where during, I think it was the last major flooding, there were cars that actually you wouldn't think this in Huntington Beach because it seems relatively flat, but there was a neighborhood where the neighborhood flooded so much that cars that were parked on the street actually got destroyed because they got filled up with water.
Whoa.
I didn't even know that was a thing in Huntington Beach. I mean, it always feels kind of flat.
Yeah, but the storm drains are probably plugged up. And
So little things like that. I mean, there's an area called the Harbor in Huntington Beach where there's components of some of the water flow systems that aren't maintained. And so making sure that, because you have the harbor, water comes in, high tides, and then making sure that water can kind of flow in and out. Some of those resources or some of those components that are part of that aren't necessarily fully maintained. So then you have that potential that can create some long-term issues. So all those little things, I think that they get neglected a lot just because they're not a
priority.
Priority. They get ignored. People that might present them to the city council and say, hey, we have this one issue. City council might say, okay, we'll look into it, and then nothing ever happens. And I've heard that story plenty of times too. So,
it's so frustrating because our taxes pay everything.
Yeah.
So like our tax money should be not paying the wrong things.
Yeah, and I understand that there's challenges. You're not.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Of course.
You're not going to necessarily be able to fix everything immediately when somebody raises a concern. But first thing to do is acknowledge it, and then at least address it and talk to the people about it, and try to figure out, okay, this is how we're gonna play it out. Try to figure it out, and have a good faith effort to address it, and then try to follow through with it as well. So
Yeah.
I know that the imagination that we're going to be able to fix everything, though, Surf City 4 gets in and we're going to be able to fix everything right away.
No.
I understand that that's not going to happen.
It takes time.
But making a good faith effort to talk to the people, to listen to their concerns, and then take the steps to try to follow through with it as well. Not just listen to them, but actually follow through. That's what I see as a critical component of the infrastructure system.
Sure.
Other issues that come up, the budget, like we talked about a little bit, that's going to be a really critical issue because we're coming to a point where we're going to run a deficit. Trying to think of all the things that come up all the time, because there are so many.
Yeah.
There are so many major issues, and then some of the minor issues as well. So mental block right now. Sorry.
It's okay. What would you say to people that are like, well, my vote doesn't matter. I'm too scared to go to City Hall. I'm too scared to speak up. I don't want to write letters. I don't want to make calls. What would you say to those people to say, you got to do it, or whatever? What would you say?
Yeah. So, especially in a small city or a smaller voting block like in Huntington Beach, when you have a component of 50, I think there's 130,000 voting population in Huntington Beach, and midterm elections, usually a lot less people are out there voting. That this is a really good chance to show that your vote matters. I think the vote always matters. There's some components of voting that dilute people's votes in different systems in Huntington Beach. I don't think that exists necessarily because one vote actually gets counted towards one candidate that's running. So to be able to get your voice heard, absolutely voting is part of the process. One of the things that I always think about is the 2000 election with George Bush against Al Gore. That was decided by 514 votes, or somewhere in the neighborhood of 514 votes. So you think about that.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you think about the fate of the nation sat on 514 votes. So if those 514 people didn't vote, we would have, or 515 people didn't vote, we would have it would have been a different outcome for the next several years. So it can matter, and there's instances all over the place where just a few votes really change things. So it's how you get your voice heard. That's probably the number one issue to me, is voting, out of everything, because that's where it all starts. That's how we have a functional democracy, starts with voting.
I think people don't realize how powerful your vote is at a local level.
Yeah.
And that the local level, the school board, all of that stuff starts to build to the state, then to the federal government. So if you want changes, you gotta make the changes in your city.
Yeah, the direct effect that your city council is going to have on you, the choices that get made for you in the city, are specific to those individuals, that city council, the votes that you make for those people, because they're actually affecting your everyday lives a lot more than the state level, the county level, the state level, the federal level. They obviously are some big ticket items, but when you talk about whether you're going to have that school system that's going to make sure your kids have a safe place to go to school, and that they're going to have the resources, or whether you're going to have streets that are safe and functioning, whether you're going to have a clean beach, all of that stuff is directly connected to the city council and the choices that they're making. So it's weird because it seems disconnected when you think about all of the news that gets pushed out there, and it's always the federal stuff, sometimes the state stuff, and so those are the ones that get the biggest voices. But the local level really matters. It really does play a major effect in how your day-to-day life is going to be. The taxes that you pay, when you're talking about your real estate tax, or the extra tax that goes on the sales tax on on the stuff that you buy in your city, all that stuff comes through the city council. If you want to have some sort of renovation on your home, you need to have the city council. I mean, let me clarify.
Permits
Yeah,
and-
let me clarify right now, because of the builder's remedy that has to do with the housing mandate lawsuit. Right now, it's not quite the way that's, but it's supposed to work that way.
Yeah.
So,
I gotcha.
yeah.
Well, it takes all of us, right?
It does. And we're going to need everybody to get out, knock under some doors, to just fill out your ballot when it comes in October, and just be engaged. And one of the things that when I'm on city council, what I want is people to come and talk to me and actually tell me what their concerns are. I know I'm not going to be able to fix everything. I know that it's going to take some time to really shift the directions of the city, but I want to listen to you, and I want you to know that there's somebody that's trying to do the best for the city and for your needs, and hold me accountable. Because if I'm sucking, tell me, and then try to make sure that I can do better, because it hurts when you get told that you're bad at something, but it's also how you can improve.
And how you grow.
Yeah, exactly. So I want people to hold me accountable. I mean, be nice about it, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it's going to take all of us for sure.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, it's nice to meet you today.
nice to meet you as well.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Really, thank you for coming to Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
This is spectacular that you got to join me at the library and just kind of sit in a gorgeous afternoon beach town day.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good.
This is a good day.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. You did great.